Many people who are moving abroad are fortunate to be able to retire abroad. They are senior, and so they're moving abroad to cut down on their expenses, have access to more affordable and accessible healthcare, as well as have more time freedom, financial freedom. But there are many of us that are still required to work. So you're wondering what options are available for you if you still have a few years before you wish to retire. So this video breaks down a few countries that are offering work permit visas that allow you to relocate under this work permit and eventually turns into residency. If you recall from my previous video, permission to stay in a country is of utmost importance if you are on the move abroad journey. That is priority because you need authorization to be there for an extended period of time, longer than the typical 90 days that most US passport holders can stay and remain in the country. Work permits or visas are required. So if you are on your move abroad search, make sure that's at the forefront, that there is a residency track or a visa track and you can fit into the requirements. So we're going to get into this list of countries that are offering work permit visas. This list is in no particular order, and it's surely not an exhaustive list. And this list also considers different industries. We have healthcare, we have technology, we have non-specialized industries. So I try to throw everything in there that is respective to the diverse array of viewers. There are several EU countries that are experiencing work shortage, particularly in the healthcare industry. And so many of these countries have relaxed their immigration standards and are recruiting foreign healthcare professionals in order to fill the healthcare shortages that they're experiencing. So they're recruiting doctors, nurses, as well as healthcare professionals such as speech pathologists, occupational therapists, social workers, and especially elderly care specialists. So in terms of healthcare, the first country we are going to look at is Germany. 1 in 8 doctors are foreign born, which allows for 12% of the doctors in Germany, which is about 62,000 doctors, do not hold German citizenship. So Germany is being rather aggressive in recruiting foreign-born doctors and nurses. In terms of nursing, Germany needs to fill about 150,000 nursing positions in 2025. Germany is also looking to attract nursing staff in Latin America as well. Now, the requirements in terms of how to get the visas, what are the requirements? So there's 3 types of work permit visas that Germany is offering. There's their EU Blue Card, which is for highly skilled non-EU nationals or American citizens. If you're a healthcare professional, such as a doctor or a specialized nurse, this visa is a really attractive option. You can qualify for the EU Blue Card if you're a recognized degree, accredited licensing, and you have a job offer already in Germany. So you have to have an already prepared job offer in order to apply for the EU Blue Card. The employment visa is for non-EU nationals who also have secured a job in Germany. If you're a nurse, caregiver, and another healthcare professional. Like I said earlier, these visas are not exclusive to only doctors and nurses, but they're looking for all specialties in the healthcare industry. You have to prove your qualifications, that you're accredited, that you're licensed, that you have a bachelor's or master's degree in the particular area. There's an additional 3rd visa, which is the job seeker visa. Now, this is open for someone who's still looking for a job in Germany and you have not secured it, but you're allowed to enter the country and search for employment on the ground. Once you find your healthcare sector job, you can convert this job seeker visa into either the employment visa or the EU Blue Card visa. Now, the standard requirements regarding these 3 visas. Again, you have to have an eligible passport that Germany recognizes. cannot have a criminal background. You must be accredited or have a license that's recognized, as well as perhaps be part of the board regarding in your respective field. Language proficiency is also a requirement. You must demonstrate German proficiency. So this is not something you can jump into immediately. You could perhaps make a 1-year goal to become German proficient and then apply for your visa and your work permit and look for employment vis-a-vis that avenue. So this is probably perhaps the most challenging aspect about applying for these visas in Germany is learning the German language. If you're intentional about it and you give yourself 6 months to a year to apply, look for employment, as well as gain German proficiency, take language classes 2 or 3 times a week, immerse yourself. Immersion is a big part of learning a language. Within a year, you probably will have German proficiency. Now, in terms of the benefits, Germany is not only attracting doctors, they also have very attractive packages in order to recruit the best talent around the world. The salaries are competitive, robust benefits, retirement plans, healthcare, of course, is included in that, extensive paid leave. Germany is known for innovation and high standards in healthcare and sciences. So this is really this can allow ample opportunity for a healthcare professional to professionally develop and career advancement. And as you know, Germany also has a really high quality of life, really, really robust public services, socialized medicine, transportation is elite, and a safe environment. The country is known for its very rich culture, and of course it's in the center of Western Europe and it's accessible to and easy access to neighboring countries. Now, the next country that's also experiencing work shortage in the healthcare sector is Denmark. Now, Denmark has a particular need for healthcare professionals with specialized skill, especially in elder care. So again, this is not reserved for doctors and nurses, but elder care specialists, occupational therapists, physical therapists. So as of July 1st, 2024, Denmark relaxed immigration pathways for medical professionals. In the early 2000s, Denmark had a very strict immigration policies, but since then has relaxed that because of workplace shortages and a population decline, resulting them to be more relaxed regarding recruiting skilled workers to move to Denmark. So who can be granted this? Again, it's a very broad definition of healthcare workers, but particularly doctors, nurses, dentists, healthcare workers such as dental assistants, healthcare assistants, those specializing in elderly care, physiotherapists, occupational therapists, even clinical dietitians, essentially any healthcare professional with a recognized qualification who can undergo the necessary process to obtain a Danish authorization. So again, this is dependent upon you being credentialed, having the licensing requirements, the education, and whatever credentials in your industry. The duration for the visa is around 3 years. Yeah. Now, Australia has also relaxed its borders. In the early 2000s, Australia was another country that had very strict immigration policies, whether you were a skilled worker or not. So there's a few options if you are interested in Australia and New Zealand, and I'll speak about New Zealand after this one. So we have the work holiday visa and the temporary work visa. So the work holiday visa allows someone to remain in Australia for upwards of a year. They must be between 18 and 30 years of age or 35 years old for some countries, depending on which country you're expatriating from. And this allows you to vacation in Australia as well as look for employment. You have to be, again, within this age range, do not have any dependent children accompanying you at any time during this 1 year period of stay, have a passport from the approved countries. The cost for the visa is around $402 US. After this 1 year has lapsed, you can apply for a second work holiday visa. Again, you have to meet the requirements of the age and the other requirements that I mentioned. And this gives you time, if you did find work in Australia during this initial visa, to extend your stay for another year and extend it for another year after that. So you could apply for a third work holiday visa. Again, this is for someone who's essentially a tourist looking for work in Australia. So you can fly in on a tourist visa, look for work. There's no urgency per se in you being able to find this job, enjoy Australia, and then look for work while you're there. For healthcare professionals, there's two types of visas that are most suitable for you. That's the temporary skill shortage visa, which is called the TSS. Now, this is an employer-sponsored visa allowing healthcare professionals to work in Australia based on a job offer from an Australian company, and fills a labor shortage in the healthcare sector. So those two prongs have to be met. You must be the employer must sponsor you, and it must be based on a job shortage that Australia recognizes. This visa can present a pathway to permanent residency after a certain period of time. So if you're seeking to travel and work in Australia as a healthcare professional, the TSS, the temporary skill shortage, is an attractive option for you. Now, the second visa regarding healthcare practitioners is the Subclass 482 visa. It's a temporary skill shortage visa, that enables employers to fulfill labor market shortage with the skilled migrant worker, where they're unable to find an appropriate skilled Australian worker. Again, this is also employer-sponsored visa, requires the health practitioners be sponsored by an employer, whether they be in a medical practice or a hospital. This visa allows a healthcare professional to remain in Australia for 4 years. 90% of these visas are processed within 8 months of the visa application. So the key points regarding these two healthcare visas: you need to already have an Australia job offer, and they both present pathways to residency after the period of time. New Zealand similarly has agreements that allow people 18 to 35 to stay in New Zealand for a year or more. Their main reason for being in New Zealand can be for tourism, with work and study as secondary activities. So again, you can fly in, live in New Zealand for a period of time as a tourist, and have a secondary interest in finding work or studying. The requirements for the work holiday visa: citizen from the country that New Zealand accepts. The age is between 18 and 30. Depending on what country, that is extended to 35 years of age. And you must have a treaty. Your country, your home country, must actually have a treaty with New Zealand in order to be considered eligible for this visa. So there's a visa check that you get to see if one of your countries has this arrangement with New Zealand to be eligible to apply. The next country is Luxembourg. Luxembourg is one of the smallest countries in Europe, so they're also attracting talented and skilled workers, and getting a work visa in Luxembourg is relatively easy, and the country offers competitive benefits and short-term and long-term visas. Although it's a small country, Luxembourg has the highest minimum wage and the lowest unemployment rate in Europe for the past 40 years. So the visa types are short stay Schengen visa, generally issued for business purposes if you're looking to take on to take part in a conference, meeting, or other business activities. The next visa is a long stay national visa. This is for a foreign national who wishes to work longer than 90 days in Luxembourg. Specifically salaried, self-employed, or highly skilled workers can apply for this type of visa. And the EU Blue Card is designed for foreign nationals who are highly skilled and qualified and meet the minimum basic requirements and will be working for longer than 12 months. Again, Luxembourg has one of the easiest applications for visas. The next country is Estonia. Estonia has a high rate of accepting skilled workers, specifically tech geniuses and people who work in tech and technology. This is a hub for those type of skilled workers. It's easy to obtain a work visa if you have the credentials, but despite how easy the application is, they do receive a relatively small number of requests compared to other countries. So Estonia might be your best choice for working abroad. Iceland is another country that's experiencing work shortages in the healthcare industry. It's a breathtaking place, beautiful views, and the average Icelandic work week is around 40 hours a week and is very, very flexible. So they have a very good work-life balance. The country attracts thousands of foreigners who are looking to relocate and work abroad. The main requirement in order to apply for one of the visas is that you have to secure a contract with an Icelandic employer before you do. And so there are multiple work permits you can apply for. You can apply for a temporary work permit. This is for an expert knowledge, a work permit that's granted to foreign nationals who have a specialized skill, and Iceland is currently experiencing a lack in that workforce. So there's a temporary work permit due to labor shortage, temporary work permit for specialized employees based on a service contract, and temporary work permits granted for special reasons. Now the main requirements, as I mentioned, you must be credentialed and educated in that industry and be able to prove such. You also must have an employment contract ahead of time. Other industries that they're looking to fill include technical fields like engineering, science, medicine, research, IT, also artists and performers, musicians with exceptional talent. So if you play the harp, by all means apply. Also individuals with specialized knowledge in a particular niche industry not widely represented in Iceland. So you can use your imagination as to what is a specialized niche industry. So again, employment contracts are a really important part in order to be eligible to apply. Language proficiency as well. It's not mandatory to know Icelandic, but it will help and be beneficial for your visa application. Portugal is often on that list. They are really steady in attracting talent to Portugal. A person can apply for a Portuguese visa. Foreigner employed by a Portuguese company can apply for a D1 or D3 visa. The D1 visa is designed for foreign employees with higher education. To get the visa, the applicant must provide 12-month work contract and proof of accommodation. The D3 visa or the HQA visa is for highly skilled professionals, doctors, engineers, nurses, people who are credentialed. This is not particular of them having a shortage, so you don't have to worry about that. And the minimum requirements for one of these D3 or HQA visas is that the applicant must have a higher education degree and a job contract with the salary of at least 1,020 euros. This visa, again, is typical for IT professionals, engineers, doctors, scientists, and those in management. So those are the workplace visas. Hopefully those are interesting to you. If you're not of retirement age and you're considering your options and you don't have necessarily the income, the assets to retire and move abroad, you can work. A lot of these countries, especially in the Schengen regions, who have population decline, have relaxed their immigration standards for skilled workers. So if this is something you're interested in, I will link some of the information in the description box. Also, if you're on your move abroad journey and you don't even know where to begin, I invite you to come into my move abroad coaching container, where we'll go through the steps that you need to be considering before you move abroad. There's certain things that you want to pay attention to, such as what do you do with your stuff in the United States? Do you sell? Do you rent out? Or do you give it up? What do you do in terms of if you have a custody agreement or you have small children? How do you facilitate getting permission in order to relocate them to a particular country? Because those are things that you do have to pay attention to, as well as the visa process. Is there a visa and residency track for your ideal countries, and can you meet the minimum requirements? Because although there may be an ideal or country that you fantasize, you want to be able to meet the criteria so that you can get the permission to remain in that country. So if you need more assistance regarding that, I invite you, the link is in the description box, and you can also sign up for my newsletter, where I send out weekly tips and things that you should be thinking about if you're on the move abroad trajectory. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comments section. Or if you would like me to review a particular concern regarding moving abroad, I'm open to suggestions, and I will see you next time.